This conference will now be recorded. This conference will now be recorded.
All right. Hello, everybody. This is a regular meeting of the Belchertown Communications Committee. The date is 11/24/2025. It is now 6:30 p.m. We are virtual today, so things are a little bit different than usual, but we're doing it for the holiday week. Make it easy for everybody. And this is the official call to order. We have all of our full members here. Both of our liaisons are present, or our liaison is present, and both of our ex officios are present. So full house. First thing we have up is the approval of minutes. I do have a question about those that I brought up with Allegra, and I figured I'd bring up with everybody else. So in her minutes to review, she brought up one of the things that I said I would take care of, which is let's see, sorry, the communications plan. It says that I volunteered to take lead on linking the communication plan to the town community plan. I believe what I specifically said was that I would come up with tactical plans. I mean, I guess that is sort of a link to the community plan. Although I said I think about the community plan that I would run it through GPT or some sort of other service and have it analyze and pull out exactly what the communication needs were. I don't know if that necessarily needs clarifying or not. It's sort of the same thing, but I figured I'd bring that up.
Thanks, Chris. Yeah, I just saw your email. No, I completely, I remember now you mentioning the tactical plan. I just forgot that piece of it. So, and I might have kind of misstated what you were going to do with the community plan. So I can just rewrite that sentence to say that you'll take a first stab at the tactical plans and you'll also look at the community plan to draw language out of it for the communications plan. If that's,
Okay.
I don't know how it works in terms of approval. Can we approve it knowing that I'm going to make that change, or should we wait to approve it? Okay. I didn't hear from anybody else with any changes or anything. So if there were any other changes that need to happen.
Okay. If not, could I get a motion to approve the minutes?
So moved.
Okay. With the
Second.
caveat that those changes are going to be made. That change will be made. So, all those in favor, we do have to do actually, I should step back. We do need to do a roll call to order because we are virtual, and I apologize for that. So let me do the roll call for the call to order. And then we'll do the vote for this. So Ed Camo.
Here.
Mark. Just here. Yep. Lou Lorraine.
Yes.
Allegra.
Here.
And Chris Martin is here as well. Okay. And now for the approval of minutes, we already had the motion. So all those in favor, will Ed Camo?
I'll have to abstain. I wasn't here.
Abstain. Mark?
Yes.
Lou?
Okay.
Allegra, for or against?
And
for. Myself,
yep.
I am for. Okay.
Okay.
So one abstain.
0-1. Okay, thank you.
Okay, we'll jump into public comment. I don't think we have any members of the public online, so I think we can skip that. Once, twice, 3 times. We're all set there. Education training reports from committee members.
I did it. I did the MMA AI lecture, and was happy to see that they are following all the guidelines that we have been talking about, including disclose using AI, training your staff, and yearly reviews. So I thought it was great.
Excellent. That's one I need to check out as well. Anybody else? Okay, moving on into the meat and potatoes. So the big issue that we have this for this meeting is the community partners policy. Kate, do you want to do the full report on this? You were at the meeting.
I can do that. I have a bit of a headache, so bear with me. Um, at the select board meeting back on the 17th, I presented the select board with basically the standstill that we came to in our last meeting when we were kind of split like 2-2 over how we wanted to proceed with getting together a statement for their approval for this for the community partners. We were calling them third parties previously, but we've since changed to say community partners. Started with a little bit of history on that, going over, how the community calendar has come about, and then going forward about, who it's reaching, who it's not reaching. Talked about the research that we've done, whether it's been individually or through the MMC, talked about all the different partners and everything that we have kind of brought together in our community to discuss it. So, the creative economy, the cultural district. I had a conversation with the EDIC about it. So all the different pieces kind of coming together, trying to figure out the best way to come up with a statement for this. And the meeting, in the meeting, I had said we can do a quick and dirty solution now, and we can just say this is what the policy is, and it's really cut or dry, basically, one extreme or the other, because those are the easy solutions, right? But we want to have a policy for the community calendar that's our solution for the long term, something that's going to be with us for a while, something that has the staying power. And to do that best, we really need to continue working with the different stakeholders in this and ensuring that we're looking at all the hard questions and different things as they come up, if you will. And kind of left that meeting coming back to our communications meeting to say that, we're ready to start talking to the stakeholders and as a committee, and we kind of at this point have to decide how we want that to look. So whether it's having the different committees and departments that may be involved in this submitting a statement, or if it's inviting them to one of our communication meetings, or if it's, meeting one-on-one with them, kind of like figuring out as a committee what our next steps are.
Yeah, and so I can speak to this a little bit as well. I think we want to get some of the insight from the other committees. Like you said, Kate, we talked with some of the other individuals in town and some of the other groups, and on that Monday morning before the select board meeting. And in the select board meeting, I will pull back a bit. The select board meeting, we could not take it off the calendar or the agenda. It was already on there, had to happen. So I know in our last meeting, we said we were going to have a vote on this and decide what to bring to the select board. So that got kind of blown out of the water because we had to present something to them. So it was a kind of a scramble to say okay, well, what are we going to bring to them? What are we going to say? And, I spoke with John as well. And we decided that we needed this sort of direction from them of which pace to take, whether it's everything, nothing, or go with the middle ground on what we're sharing or what we're allowing these community partners to do. And they ultimately went with the middle one, as Kate said. John had a great idea when I spoke with him about it, that we as a commit, I suggested maybe a working group or something and pull in members of each of these committees and try to figure things out. But that's going to create a lot of time. It's going to waste a lot of time. We're going to have to do a lot of extra stuff for working groups and stuff like that. So one of the options that he suggested was that we make an open call and we say, 30-day period, 60-day period, whatever we want, and open this up to all the different committees. And we say, listen, if you have something to say about these community partners and about the policy, then let us know within this time period. We're going to have a meeting at the end of this time period where we're going to make a deliberation. If you want to be present during that meeting to also plead your case and say what you need, that's great. Go ahead and do that. We welcome you to our meeting. But at the end of that 30 days, 60 days, whatever we decide, that's when we're going to make a decision, and then we're going to start going ahead and finalizing that policy.
I have a question. I'm not sure what guidelines we're working on right now. Middle of the road, or what?
This is what we were talking about with the calendar, or with the town calendar, and which bleeds into the newsletter of, do we let businesses, like the open-ended was businesses can share anything, right? They could talk about their sales days and things like that.
Right.
Closed was more of just town, only things in the town government can post on the town calendar. And that middle ground was trying to find out, and it means doing a lot of extra work, doing a lot of extra policy work, of determining, a business can post on there, but only if they're working with a community organization, or it has to be a community organization that can prove that they are showing some sort of benefit to Belchertown. Basically finding out exactly what is going on there, right? Is it a religious community organization? Is it some other organization, right? And coming up with policy around that.
So are we saying that if you're a community group, you're good, you're done, you can make announcements already? If you're a religious group, you can make announcements already. But if you're a business, we need to define what they can do. Is that where we're at?
No,
we're at the point of saying we have no rules right now, and we need to figure out what those rules are.
Right, but the select board has guided us that they want that middle ground of us determining who is allowed and who isn't, right? So one of the factors can be that, like, okay, it's a nonprofit organization, fine, but they need to be organized within Belchertown, or something like we're gonna support like the Belchertown Boys and Girls Club, but we're not going to support the Ludlow Boys and Girls Club, right? Or something along those lines. We need to come up with the decisions on that.
Okay.
Like where does our community, like where does our advertising point end for the community, right?
Okay, I understand now. Thank you.
Ed, I see your hand is up.
Yep. My thought on it is, in the interim, putting on a temporary guideline of town only, just for now, so we have some control on it. Town only. I like John's idea, except for one thing. Is that going to open up a rat's nest where everybody and their brother's going to weigh in? Because can we limit it just to committees, or do we have to allow businesses as well to give input on this? I'm fully in favor of the middle road of allowing town events and nonprofit charitable events in town to post on the calendar, but I can see getting input on it too. So I'm thinking just for now, so that Abby and Kate and whoever's running it has some guidelines, just saying town related business activity only while we figure this out.
So I don't think we can do any sort of policy on it until the select board decides. Like they need to approve anything that goes on it. Otherwise, I think it is the town manager's discretion for what goes in there. I think I could be wrong. Kate,
why does the select board have to weigh in? It's kind of
because it would essentially be a policy, right? So like we need to have policy approved.
So can I
feel like that's something that would be within the purview of Steve in my mind, versus the select board managing town operations down to that level, would be my feeling.
I think.
No, go ahead, Allegra.
Yeah, sorry. A few points to chime in on. Well, maybe, and I think this is relevant to this question. So we do have an operating policy, like the newsletter has a sense of what announcements it takes from things that are not exactly town events, because we do have a community section. And when we launched the newsletter, we said what would qualify in that. It's not an official policy. It's what Kate and I and Emily and Steve, like we talked about it when we launched the newsletter. And I think for the most part, the town events calendar follows similar practice. So we have like operational practices that I think we can just decide what they are right now until we have an official policy that we're asking the select board to create that allows us to like continue this into the future without it just being at our discretion. If that makes, I don't know if that helps clarify where I think we are with developing this. But I also was going to ask the question that Ed raised, because Chris, when you mentioned the process, I also like the idea of kind of like open call, weigh in with suggestions. But Chris, you said it was for committees, and I don't think it's just committees that might want to weigh in. It might be other people too, who might use the news, the communication channels. And Kate, I thought that's what you were thinking too. I thought you were thinking of getting feedback from like the community partners who we might include in the policy to allow them to use these channels. That's it.
No,
So Allegra, I was going to say, Allegra, you have a policy now.
Hang on, I'm gonna let the question was posed to Kate, so I'm gonna let her respond first, and then Lou.
Sorry.
I was specifically thinking that we were just gonna to get input from committees versus putting it out to businesses, because where do you draw the line with which business do you solicit from? Like who makes that cut to be important enough to give us their feedback, right?
Okay, so and then in terms of committees, is it like all committees, or is it the few committees that we know are related to town events? Is that what you were thinking?
Yeah, not just to town events, but anything that has to do with, because part of the reason for sharing the events, right, is the economic driving factor too. So it would be talking to the committees and the departments that are really big on community events, and also those that have a stake in driving our economic status higher.
Okay, yeah, that makes sense to me.
Lou, did you have something to ask as
Well,
well?
I do. Allegra, you alluded to having some sort of guidelines now for how you use the calendar or what you're willing to put in. What are they?
I can look them up. I'm hoping, so the newsletter, I'm hoping that I can go to the newsletter site and tell you that they exist on the newsletter site, because I'm pretty sure we had some description when we launched, and it would be in the language there.
Well, if you can't find them now, you
let's
could
see.
pass them on later. But I guess what I'm trying to say is if there's something established now, we have something to work with right now.
Yeah. I mean, I have a sense. I've been sharing ideas with Kate and Chris, and I'll bring them to these future discussions as well. But and then I also agree that it would make sense to, I guess I'm one of the stakeholders in this because I do the newsletter stuff, but these all the other folks who are involved in creating events and communicating events, like Kate's suggestion is that we get more input from them, and I think that makes sense. Or John's suggestion. I don't know how this emerged, but yeah, it seems like a good idea.
Okay, I'm going to step in for a minute because Chris just texted his system crashed. He's not sitting there thinking pensively about what you're saying. So he'll be back shortly, I'm sure. So why don't we just hang on a minute and see if he can come back on before we get deeper into this.
So that frozen picture of him is just a frozen picture.
Okay, he's probably coming in on his phone or something.
Chris, that was like the perfect frozen screen because it really looked like you were there and just thinking.
It's funny. It's actually still there, isn't it? There it goes. Sorry about that. Yeah, my whole computer just decided to restart itself. Did you guys stop or did you carry on? Or
we kind of paused. So.
Okay. Do we get the policy for the newsletter?
No, I don't think we got it.
Yeah, okay.
Well, while Allegra's looking that up, I'd like to add too that, are we overthinking this? Are we making this bigger than it needs to be? And, you know, with businesses advertising, to me, that's a function of a chamber of commerce, or if we had an economic development council focused just on Belchertown, that would be their function to do that. I don't think it's appropriate for the town to be doing it, because one big reason, it's going to make the calendar useless because there'll be potentially so much on it that everything will just get lost in the noise. You know, Checkers is having a special this week. Pride's having a special this week. You know, it all, especially as we get into the holidays and all that stuff, I could see it just clogging the pipeline, the message pipeline, by having all the business stuff in there.
And we agree with you on that one. And there was in the select board meeting, there is a sort of a definition of like, what is advertising versus, you know, what is promoting an event, right? What is a town community thing versus a company trying to make money, right? And that, you know, we want to distinctly avoid that advertising. And that's what sort of the policy, this middle ground policy is going to be about, is being like, you know, they have 2-for-1 special. Great. You find someplace else to advertise that, right? That's not what this is about. But, you know, maybe there's a wine tasting, or, you know, or, you know, a company, a brewery in town is doing a special event, you know, to like the Red Cross or something. Or they're supporting some other bigger organization outside of town even. You know, should that be permitted? Is that allowed? You know, if they can say that, like, you know, 80% of their profits for that night are going to go to this, you know, nonprofit organization, and it's a big community event, they're going to have bands and it's all free, then, like, you know, that's a community event, as opposed to, you know, yeah, maybe they're going to make some sales, they're going to make that 20% profit, or even flip that, they're going to make 80% profit and 20% goes to something else. But that's still like a community event, right? And it's
And I don't have a problem with that at all. And it should be the organization making that request. Like, let's say Arc Point. Arc Point does a lot of stuff. The charitable organization that's holding the event at Arc Point should make that request, not Arc Point.
Can I just mention something? So I wasn't aware that we were going to be debating the actual policy tonight. I thought we were discussing what our next steps were going to be.
I
feel like this is a really big, important conversation, and those are always best done, I feel like, face to face.
That's absolutely true. And that was the other statement I was going to make is, you know, we've talked about like who's going to be involved in this and how are we going to do this. And you're right, Kate, that is where we should be going with this. It's up to us, right? It's up to to this committee to decide how are we going to go about determining this. We have been asked by the select board to do a deeper dive, to take that middle road and really define, you know, what is advertising, which is versus an event, what is community building, which versus not, you know, where are we going to draw these lines, and set up this policy. And in my mind, that also involves pulling in some of these other players in town who, whether they're committees or, you know, the creative economy or something else that is going to have a say within this, to ensure that their policies and their direction are included in this policy, right? You know, is that the EDIC, is that others will see by opening this up to them and getting their interest. Now, some of you have also mentioned, you know, should we open this up to our community partners? Should we open this up to, you know, all the different charities and stuff in town who might be promoting on there? Sure, we could do that. That's an option that we should, you know, that we decide on that. You know, are we going to open it to businesses as well? Can, you know, the Starbucks and the McDonald's have a voice in this? That's up to us to determine whether we want to allow that or not.
I just want to say that I don't want to get bit like we did by the library on our policy. So there are people or things out in the woods that we may or may not know about that have concerns that we may or may not know about. So the broader the the committee or the broader the outreach, the happier I think we're going to be.
So I would propose at least a 60-day notice, determined by, we'll have a meeting at the end of the 60 days, somewhere around there. We'll invite people in who are interested in discussing it, and to get into the nitty-gritty of it at that point. I say 60 days because in 30 days it's Christmas, it's New Year's. So it's holidays, mid-holiday season, so like it people aren't going to want to think about town policy during that period. So let's bring it out to the end of January and just figure it out by then.
Agree.
I think that makes a lot of sense.
Are we going to put something in place in the interim to give Kate and Abby some guidelines, guardrails?
Well, can we first decide on? Sorry, can we first decide on who we're going to open this up to, and when the discussion's going to be had, right? I mean, I'm throwing out 60 days. Somebody please argue against it or otherwise, let's come to a decision on this, and then we can discuss what are we going to do in the interim about guardrails.
I would
60
suggest
days
that,
sounds good.
On Facebook and in the Sentinel, you just let everybody know you're having a meeting about this, and whoever shows up, shows up. I wouldn't limit it to committees or just nonprofits. Give everybody a chance to weigh in.
That's absolutely one option we could do. It'd be very easy to just open it up to Facebook or social media, put something in the Sentinel, get the message out there. Absolutely. That'd be very easy. Frankly, it seems a lot easier than getting the email addresses of all the committee members these days, right?
Yep.
So that is one option.
I move that we open up a 60-day comment period. And as a second motion, we can determine who. But the first step, I would move that we, like you said, have a 60-day comment period.
All right. If we're putting that to vote, then we could do that right now if we have a second. Okay. So all those, we'll all go roll call vote, yay or nay.
Could there be discussion on
that?
Shouldn't there be some discussion on this?
Yes, sure. Is there any discussion on it?
Well, I guess, yeah, because I opened up my mouth. So where are we posting this 60-day comment?
TBD, that's just the first step that we're going to do it, and then we'll work out the details. The motion is just that we have a 60-day comment period.
Okay.
That's all I moved.
Okay.
I will say, what is 60 days from now? That should be determined now with this.
Looking like 24, 25 January, somewhere in there.
You want to just say January 26th?
Yeah.
January 26th. I believe date in 60 days, Friday, January 23rd. We normally meet on Thursdays. Do we do Thursday the 22nd? And that way the last day is that would be the second or the fourth Thursday of the month.
I would say January 21 so that the window is closed and we can look at the comments for our meeting.
Okay.
Well, how soon do we anticipate being able to get notice out as well? Like if we're calling it a 60-day period, we want to make sure we're giving it the full 60 days.
We don't have to call it 60 days. We can just say January 21.
Comment period. Okay.
If you're talking Facebook, you can do it now.
So I'll amend my motion to say that we'll have a comment period that's open until Wednesday, January 21, close of business.
Do you have a second? Okay. Any discussion on that? Allegra, there's a lot of feedback from your side. With no discussion, I'll do a roll call vote. Yay or nay? Ed?
Yay.
Mark?
Yay.
Lou?
Yes.
Allegra?
Yay.
Okay, excellent. Yay as well. Okay, so we have until the Wednesday the 21st. Okay, so then the second discussion is around who do we open this up to?
I
Do
would
we have
also
any-
suggest we need to discuss what the question is going to be. How do we phrase the question? What is our question on this comment period?
Let's take it a step at a time. Chris had talked about who do we open it up to? And my suggestion would be town departments, committees, and nonprofit charitables in town.
Well, if you're excluding the businesses, shouldn't they have to say? I mean, I don't think anyone will care, but
I mean, we know what the business is going to say. Yes. I mean, what business is going to say, no, I don't want to?
Depending on the question.
Yeah, I think, I mean, you might also say the same for the nonprofit partners. It might also be obvious what they would say if the question is, do you want to be included in the calendar? And so, yeah, is that the question we're asking? It seems like, I think, it seems like when we're, the questions and the conversation that like Chris and Kate had with some of like the cultural council and other folks, seems like you guys were getting like more feedback about than just that simple question of whether it should be on, or I don't know. But yeah, maybe this has to go to Lou's question of what exactly are we, what kind of feedback are we looking for?
Yeah, I don't think it's necessarily we're going to be asking a question. I think it's going to be, we are writing a policy around community partners and how we're going to be I don't know the right words for it, but like how wide we're going to open up the calendar, right? How, like, are we going to allow we're looking for certain definitions of what an event is and how we categorize them in town. We're looking into businesses, nonprofits, religious organizations, all sorts of stuff, and setting policy around it. We want to hear from different organizations that are interested in, being in the town calendar and hearing about or being involved with events in the town and being advertised by the town for these events. And I guess we just want to know what their input is and how much they would like to participate in these things. Or, there's the potential of restricting these events too, that like, if anybody has any strongly felt about that, like, we should absolutely restrict things, we could have Boat come along and say like, no matter what, we want to make sure that we're not advertising anything that has to do with, addictive substances, right? They could come out and say specifically that they don't want a brewery to be an event on our calendar, right? And we want to hear that. We want to know their opinions on those things. Because there's all types of businesses in town, and if we have considerations for some, we need to have considerations for all, and we need to be fair, and we need to be making sure this policy fits within state laws and guidelines as well. So we need to know who has problems with what and who would not want what, and any other opinions people might have. And
so we need a narrative. We need a narrative before the question or before they respond. Is that correct?
I suppose it's really just like an open, like, do you have an opinion on a policy around the town calendar and who we should be advertising for?
Make sure you're specifying it. We have to make sure it's the town community calendar. because we don't want people to think that we're trying to dictate policy over the meeting calendar. Like, we got to make sure we're very clear that these are two totally separate things.
Gotcha.
But it could be as simple as what you just stated, Chris.
Right. Just, do you have an opinion
On what type of events should or should not be allowed to post their event on the town community calendar? And if you have an opinion, state why
Or what that opinion is.
or what. Yeah.
Okay. I feel like I need to write that down. Remember it. Sorry. But yeah, I mean, that does sound that is probably the best thing, just plain and simple. What is this Ed just posted?
Some examples from a couple other communities, how they did theirs.
Their policy or their questions?
Yeah,
That looks like
we're definitely not trying to look at others' policies. Like, we have looked at a lot of calendars and we've looked at a lot of policies, and everything is all over the place. And we really want to make sure that the policy we're coming up with is for Belchertown and with Belchertown's best interest.
So I did get that question down. I wrote, and I like it.
Please.
It's very straightforward. So what I wrote, it might not exactly match, but I wrote, do you have an opinion on what types of events should or should not be able to be posted in the town event calendar? Or Kate, you tell me what it should be called, town
Community.
website.
Community events calendar.
Community events calendar. And then my follow-up question for you, for the committee, is now getting back to the question of who gets asked this question. It does seem like it could actually go out more widely, because among other stakeholders are people who in town use the calendar, just like, residents. Like, would you want residents to be able to answer this?
If you post it on Facebook or in the Sentinel, then it's open to the public. I would think anybody and everybody.
I think something else too that we really need to keep in mind is that we've had a lot of surveys in the last 12 months, like a ridiculous amount of them, and we are absolutely getting at the point of survey fatigue. And we've had some instances where instead of putting out another survey like the town might want to, we're kind of pulling it back and being like, can we find that information in other surveys that we've put out? So obviously, like, these questions have never come up in another survey, but the general consensus is that we're reaching like saturation and survey fatigue. So we have to be really careful about how we word this, because
So
it's at this point kind of coming off a little survey-ish, in my opinion.
I would propose that we do not do a survey, that instead we have people email us. Right? Send us a letter. Either send a letter to the clerk's office addressed to the communication committee, or send
No,
it
those
to,
would go to the select board's
right,
office.
yes, select board's office, labeled to the communication committee, or use
We
whatever
have
email.
our own email address, don't we?
Yeah, can we let people
do.
send emails? It's so much easier.
Yeah, well, yeah, or to an email address. Yeah, absolutely. And I wouldn't do a survey. I would have them open letter. They can send it to one of these two ways.
Perfect.
Okay.
Would we accept comments if people, like, if we shared this information on Facebook and someone put the comments there, would we accept that?
I kind
On
of want to say
Facebook?
no, just because we're asking them to actually like email us, or submit the letter to the select board office.
It seems like
Well, they
if there
could
ends up being, oh, sorry, Lou.
Yep,
It
go ahead.
seems like if there ends up being some conversation that's happening on a forum, it could be something that we get a sense of going into our meeting, but it's not something that really needs to be well represented at the meeting if nobody sent a letter about it. But it could just be something we take into account.
Makes
Now,
sense.
I would say post the email address on Facebook, and if they want to comment in the comment section, you can look at it or not.
I think we should make them go through the hurdle of actually sending us something. It's too easy to bang out a reply on Facebook or something.
Right.
And
Right.
if we say,
I'm
no,
agreeing with you.
You got to send us an email or a letter, kind of like how the government does it when they're asking for public comment, you know, on a new rule.
I think there's at least 4 of us that agree with that at this point. That was you very well put. That like, sure, we might consider it, but we're not going to like. It's not going to be represented within the meeting or the discussion afterwards. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, you can't. Can you turn off the comment section on a Facebook page? I'm not sure you can. So people may
No, it's
do
against
that
the First
anyway.
Amendment. First Amendment rights,
Okay.
you can't turn it off.
Yeah. So they're going to comment one way or the other, but we'll listen to the letters and emails.
Yeah, and it can be worded such that that's pervade.
Yeah. Mark, you've been very quiet. I'm curious what you think.
So this is a subset of a comment that I made that is to say this discussion is a subset of a comment I made at the last meeting, which had more to do with advertising and advertising restrictions. And I was trying to make the case that since economic development is probably the most substantive challenge that we face, we should do everything possible to encourage it. And one of the ways of doing that is by allowing advertising and other kinds of publicity by private organizations. So that was the point that I was trying to make at the last meeting, which is different than what we're discussing here.
Correct, and I think that comes from the direction that we got from the select board. And John, I know you're here. I know you're on mute. I don't know if you're able to talk to it. And Kate, you were at the meeting too. That there came up the discussion of advertising versus events, and what is in the select board's mind what they want to see versus what they don't want to see.
Yeah, that's a good question. I mean, I guess as a select board, we didn't want to see like advertising, like, hey, we have a 2-for-1 special at so-and-so restaurant tonight, because we don't want to be limited to that or any kind of advertising. I get the economics part, but let's say the local soccer club is having a pizza night at Antonio's, we would be okay with that, if that makes sense. Does that fit people's thoughts on that? It's because if we start limiting it or opening it up, we just don't want to open it up, because then if you open up to everything, it could be any business in the world. It could be some hateful business, and then we would have to let them go through because that's the law. Like, so it's all or none kind of. So that's why we're trying to find that middle ground of limiting it to some sort of town event only, or how it incorporates the town somehow. So we can limit it to like that town stuff, if that makes sense. That kind of answer your question, Mark, a little bit?
I guess it does. I mean, we have somewhere around 430 registered businesses in Belchertown. And my guess is that most residents have no idea that we have that many or what they are. And so I was trying to think of ways of changing that. But I certainly agree with John's point. However, these businesses would be registered with the town. So there's a filter right up front, I think. Nevertheless, this is a different issue than the one that we're talking about here, which is newsletter advertising. or not advertising, newsletter posting. It's different.
Yeah, with the
Calendar.
400, with the 430 businesses, we're trying to push that to like the Chamber of Commerce, and that's why we did a lot of like a lot of stuff, and we involved the Amherst Chamber of Commerce, and we're really getting involved with that with the businesses to try to get the businesses to grow in that way. I think the calendar is more reserved for like town events involving the community in a sense, not just the businesses. We'll kind of we're going to separate it a little bit if that makes sense. We can still we're not really advertising the businesses like go to Mill Valley Splicing and buy your wire. We're not doing that
Yes.
kind of stuff. That's for the Chamber of Commerce in my eyes.
Yeah, I get that, John. I was just, that's the issue that I brought up at the last meeting, which is different than the one that we're discussing now. So I get it, and I agree with you.
Wait, so is this a discussion of the online calendar or the Carriagetown Chronicle?
The calendar kind of feeds into the Carriagetown Chronicle. We take a lot of the events that are posted on the calendar and transfer them into messaging on the Chronicle. So it really is a discussion about the town events calendar on the website, but it's sort of like, the Chronicle revolves around that and also needs to be considered.
Yeah, so ideally the events come in through the event submission page for the website, and then once they've been added to the community partners calendar on the website, then that information gets disseminated out to the cultural district as well as the creative economy and BCTV and the newsletter, all those different pieces that might pick it up as a piece to run, information to share, news to share, events to share kind of thing.
But also all those outlets will have to share everything. If it comes into the calendar, then you're all going to have to share everything that comes into the calendar.
Why would we have to do that? The given, it says that you will be shared to the calendar, and then it says events may be shared to these other channels.
Yeah, but I could imagine the
In
blowback.
the end, the calendar is the end all be all, because the calendar is the only piece that we have that is free and accessible to anybody without needing to sign up or register for something.
Right, but I could imagine the blowback that my event doesn't get listed in the Carriagetown Chronicle. Why not? Why didn't you list my event? But you listed all these
It could simply be that you missed, the publication date or something like that.
No. My point is, yeah, I went to the calendar and I did it in plenty of time. So to me, just to cover your butt, Allegra, it seems like you're going to have to publish everything. So they can't accuse you of playing favoritism or anything like that.
Aren't they two separate issues? Isn't the Carriagetown a newsletter separate from the event calendar? I don't think they're connected.
Yeah, so it is possible we have to clarify in case we haven't had any issues like this for sure, and hopefully we won't. It might be worth clarifying a little more what the procedure is for submitting, but we do request that people submit things to the newsletter. The editors of the newsletter also look at the events calendar to see if there's things that went into the events calendar that were not submitted to the newsletter that we might like to include. And then as a courtesy, it's been our policy to reach out to the people who submitted that event to the calendar to let them know that we saw it and are also going to put it in the newsletter. And they've been very happy to also then be redistributed in the newsletter. But they do not think when they're submitting to the event calendar at this point that it's automatically going to the newsletter. Whether that needs to be made very clear or not, we do need to figure out like what work can we handle. And there might be reasons why, I don't know exactly what the reasons would be, but there might be reasons why not everything from the calendar goes into the newsletter. So I think as long as we're clear, I think these are decisions we can make and just communicate clearly about so people know what to do, what protocols to follow to submit things.
We need to also be careful too, is we don't we can't have events only being submitted to the newsletter, because you have to sign up the newsletter in order to get it. Like, events first and foremost have to be going to the community partners calendar.
No, they don't. Why?
Because the purpose of the purpose of the events calendar on the website is because it's accessible without needing to sign up for something.
Yeah, but it's
And
my
we need to
choice.
be able to share as many things as possible there. It needs to be the first place that events are shared before they're shared with any of our other partners.
I don't
It's
know if
like
I agree with that, because that'd be my choice as, like, let's say I'm a nonprofit, and for whatever reason, I wanted it listed in the newsletter and I didn't submit it to the town. That's my choice to do that. I don't have to submit it to the town.
I see the putting it onto the website as the gateway to getting to the newsletter or to BCTV or to social media.
I mean, I agree with
It's
that.
the first
Yes, it's the most efficient way to do it.
it's the
But
first step. And I think if and I'm sorry, my headache is killing me tonight. If you're not willing to share your event onto our community calendar, then we can't reciprocate it and share it on our other channels.
Is that true today about like BCTV? Esther, are you?
Yeah, sorry, I was just checking on the Board of Health online stream. What was that?
We're discussing, like, is everything that comes through the town as an event, does it go directly to the calendar and then get dispersed outwards? I mean, are there events today that are broadcasted on BCTV that we don't necessarily see on the calendar? And I don't know if you would know this
Yeah,
or not, but
there's no intentional syncing between the two. I just, if people send it to us, we'll put it up, or if we think it's of particular interest to the community, we put it up.
gotcha. So there doesn't seem to be like an internal policy. Like, I understand what you're
No.
saying, Kate, and I think that you're right that, like, we should try to revolve around like one unified calendar. But I think today, to Ed's point, like, there is nothing that forces anybody to put it on the calendar first, and then
No, I understand that, and that's part of where we're trying to get to through here. And it just and I feel like we're getting off topic at this point, but it's the amount of time that is wasted or lost because someone is trying to chase down an event that's already been shared but not provided through the events calendar has been huge. And it's trying to like I feel like we're competing against our own newsletter in order to populate the town events calendar. And
so
then we have like people chasing down information, and then like when you submit an event to the newsletter, like you don't have to include all the information that we find of interest to put on the events calendar, such as like if there's a cost to it, if it's, for children or families or 18 plus. Like, we ask all those important questions to really make it so that if you're looking at the events calendar, all of your questions are asked or answered. And there was a lot of thought that went into putting together that that form that people fill out for the newsletter. But like I said, I feel like that's a separate conversation to talking to our stakeholders and getting feedback as to what we're going to put onto the calendar.
Just a very, very quick note, because it is a tangent or a side note to what we're main talking about. But in terms of the newsletter and events and then the events calendar, Kate, I don't actually know if you saw I put this in an email a couple weeks ago, but it does, right now we get submissions to the newsletter. They might contain events. They might be complicated submissions that are both an event, but then also like a call for volunteers or other information that might not be in the events calendar. Our planned practice for this next wave of submissions and all going forward is to let those folks know that they need to submit the event to the events calendar. So we could talk about workflows, but that's that's a way to make sure that there's no events that don't make it to the events calendar. So anyway.
Yeah, we are right. We have
debate.
What's that?
Are we any closer to a resolution?
Yeah, so I think we do need to step back away from the newsletter, I guess, and how forcing things to go on the calendar first and stuff like that. We all that is sort of a different subject. What we're trying to determine now is who we're opening this up to, right? We have the question now that Lou proposed and Allegra recorded. Is this a question that we want to open up to everyone, or only to town committees, or otherwise? And I'm open at this point to a motion if anybody thinks strongly about one way or the other.
Well, you know my opinion, and that is, I think anybody who wants to comment should be allowed to do so. So I'll make a motion that the survey, or I guess we'll call it survey, not be restricted to any participants.
Do you have a second?
No.
I'll second that with the caveat, there has to be a mechanism for identifying who they are. Are you a nonprofit? Are you a business? Are you a citizen? Something like that, just so we know the source on it.
Okay. That sounds reasonable.
Okay, so can you state that in full, I guess, just so we have that on record?
Let's see here. Okay, I'm making a motion that the proposed survey be available to any person in Belchertown, provided that they identify themselves or their business as being the originator of their comment.
Point of note, I thought we said we are not doing a survey. We were going to ask people to submit a letter or something.
Well, I used the word survey instead of letter of submittal, but I'm not after a survey. I'm after what we're after here, which is people commenting.
Feedback.
So it's a proposed letter of submission. And again, another point of order is: are we opening this only to people in Belchertown, or are we opening this to the local neighborhoods as well? The reason why I'm going to say that is because I brought this up with Kate before, that people find a lot of community in religion. We have a lot of churches in town. We don't have a lot of representation of other religious organizations, right? Therefore, Amherst might be the closest temple or mosque or whatever.
Sure.
So are we going to restrict it to you have to be in Belchertown, or can it just be open to everybody?
No, I feel it should be Belchertown based. Otherwise, where does it end?
I agree with that. It is, as Belchertown is, they're the taxpayers of Belchertown. So I would limit it to the residents of Belchertown only. And that incorporates all business people and nonprofits and everything. If you just limit it to all of Belchertown, that's just my 2 cents.
Okay. So we're asking for an open letter to our committee, and that we're opening it to all residents of Belchertown.
Residences, businesses, and nonprofits.
Provided that they identify themselves on their letter.
And it can be a letter or email or other form of communication, TBD. Is it a form on the website? Is it?
Okay. Now, Allegra, as clerk, do you have all that? Is there a succinct? Just because I want to make sure it's right.
I think I do, but let me ask another clarification question. Unfortunately, I'm sorry, but does that actually include all the people that we want to catch? Because are there people who work in Belchertown departments who we would want to use this channel to provide feedback, or because they don't necessarily fall into the category of residents, businesses, and nonprofits in Belchertown?
Employees, add employees.
Town employees, yeah, yeah.
Good solution, thank you. Okay, so if I can recap the motion, Lou has made a motion. I don't know if I'm even allowed to do this, but Lou, can I say what I believe the motion was in its corrected version?
Yes.
Okay, Lou made a motion that the open letter to our committee, this call for an open letter to our committee on the subject be open to all employees, residents, businesses, and nonprofits, provided they, identify themselves in their letter and tell us their concerns.
That's substantially it, yes.
And with the second by Ed, does that still stand? Okay. So I will do, again, roll call vote, yay or nay. Yay supports that we do this letter, nay says we don't. Are there any last minute discussions before we get into this? 3, 2, 1. Okay. Ed?
Yay.
Mark?
Yay.
Lou?
Yes, please.
Allegra?
Yes.
I say yes as well. Okay. All on board.
Unanimous is good.
Yes. Okay. Any other deliberations on this, discussions on this that anybody wants to bring up, or any other? Because that was strictly the motion for the process of that and who we're going to open it to. Anything else involving this?
So I'm assuming that we're asking Kate to do this via her, channels of getting information out. Is that correct?
That's what I had assumed.
Okay. Do you need any assistance from anybody in the committee to do this?
No, thank you though.
Could we, I guess, you want to just run the final copy by Ed and I?
Sure.
Okay. And is everybody okay with that as Ed and I being the chair, vice chair, to just review that copy? Yeah. I don't think we have to
And
vote on that.
Just as a note, it will probably be Friday before that's sent to you, just based on when I know when I'm working this. Oh, we're closed on Friday. I don't know if I'm working Friday. I'll try to do it Wednesday. Otherwise, it might be Monday.
Kate, you got time.
Awesome.
Don't kill
Thank you.
yourself.
That's what I love. Thank you.
Okay. Anything else on this? All right. BCTV manager update.
Oh, wow, I'm there now. Hi, I'm at town hall because there's also Board of Health and Mary's not here today, so
I will say, I love that the one time we're not in the town hall, you are in the town hall instead of being remote.
It's funny. Yeah. I debated going to the station, but I said I would be here, so. Yeah, update, I feel like we just met a second ago, but thinking more about hiring more people. I've been doing some things with Channel 193, trying different digital signage software, as opposed to bringing it in with our current server. And I have one right now that I'm pleased with that rotates between a widget of the weather and a snapshot of the town meeting calendar and another thing or two that's going well. What else? We just started filming Quabbin Arts Association artist talks. They had a cool talking the other day. Yeah, I think that's it today.
All right, excellent.
Hey Esther, quick question. The
Yeah.
audio is not the greatest. What microphone are you using?
Right now, it's just the owl in here. So that's interesting.
It's a lot of echo.
Oh,
Yeah,
it might be because the computer's right next to it. Is it different now? Maybe?
No, I think it's echo from the room.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, there are less people to absorb it in here, so,
Right.
Okay, just curious.
yeah, that's weird.
Okay. Any other questions, comments, anything for Esther? No? Okay, cool. Communication manager update. Kate.
I just wanted to share two quick updates, kind of wins, if you will, for this time being. The first is that I have finally approved the quote unquote redesign of the website, bringing in the new logo and colors and everything. And that should be implemented by the end of the first week of December. So that's been a super long time coming. And I'm really excited to say that that is finally happening. And then the other win that I wanted to share with everybody is that we are the town's Facebook page for the year so far has 975,000 plus views. And I do
Wow.
think we might be able to crack that million view mark by the end of the year. I feel like that's kind of a big milestone, and I was really excited to see that today when I was looking at the statistics.
Kudos.
That's amazing.
Wow.
That's crazy. Crazy to
Yeah.
think of the numbers that big. So yeah, that's all I have for an update today.
All right, excellent. All right, well we're at our end. Excellent. So the next is topics not reasonably anticipated by the chair. I realize now that we had to use a new agenda format, that I went to use that for this meeting, which was provided by the clerk's office. So I pulled up their template. But we had decided back at the last meeting that we were supposed to move topics not reasonably anticipated by the chair to the top of the meeting. So I apologize. That'll be back to the right spot in the next one. I will say there is this topic that I don't think, it's not on brand for our committee or anything. So I don't think it's going to hurt us or anything. But I wanted to say congrats to Lorraine for his Hometown Hero Award. If you haven't seen the article in the paper or heard about it, you can ask him about it. So
Thank you.
just wanted to officially bring
Congratulations.
that up and congratulate you.
Sorry, Ed, what'd you say? All right. All right. Thank you, gentlemen. Thank you, ladies.
Yeah, so moving on, deliberation of our next meeting time. We're at the end, folks. So I believe we're looking at the 11th of December. That is the second Thursday of the month. I do not know off the top of my head if there are any holidays or if that is going to interfere with anybody's holiday season. So please speak up now. We have everybody here, so we have full representation.
And I said there's none listed on my printed calendar, so I think you're all right.
You are all welcome to meet without me, but that is dress rehearsal for the Nutcracker, and I will not be there.
That's fair enough. Does it work for everybody else?
Yes.
Yes. Okay. General consensus.
Wait,
Allegra?
wait, hold on. Sorry, did we say Tuesday the 11th? Or
No,
the
Thursday.
Thursday,
the 13th?
December 11th.
So, I'm in the wrong month. Okay, thank you very much. Perfect, thank you. All good.
Then we're all good. Okay, so we're gonna call it December 11th, 6:30, in the town hall, probably the planning board meeting room. That sounds about right. And with that, we have a roll call to adjourn. Or any other discussions? I think it's too late for most of anything. So with that, Ed, yay or nay? Yay, we adjourn. Nay, you want to stick
Yay.
around and just see our faces. Ed is a yay. Mark?
Aye.
Lou?
Yes.
Allegra?
Yes, but I have a question. In all the previous meetings, we make a motion to adjourn. Is that not something we do?
That's essentially what we're doing now, is motioning to adjourn. But we had to.
But did anybody second it? Oh, okay.
There was no formal motion. But I will
fair
second,
enough. Fair
I will
enough.
second.
Okay.
I will second a non-formal motion.
Thank
Okay.
you. I'm yay.
And you're yes. I almost want to say nay just to see what happens, but yay as well. We are good to go. That is the close of the meeting. Thank you everybody for joining. Have a happy Thanksgiving and happy holiday
Same to
season.
you. And
Same
never
to you.
travel too far,
Everybody.
right? Stay at home.
Yep.